Billy back here with the Broship of the Nerds. I know it's been a while. I've had a few personal things I've been trying to take care of as well. So I am back. Today, book review. So, as I've told you guys previously on this channel, when I saw the previews for the Netflix Fear Street trilogy that came out, I was excited. I knew about Goosebumps and I had watched a little bit of that as a kid. Watched the episodes and I had some VHSs. I had A Night in Terror Tower and The Werewolf of Fever Swamp, two of my absolute favorite episodes that were done as two-parters, so it felt like a full-length movie almost. Well, then The Haunted Mask was great. Well, then I saw the Fear Street trilogy on Netflix and went, "What's this?" And I looked up the Fear Street books and I started getting some. And after I read, I got the first four, I think, came in a collection. And I think I ended up with like the first 10, read them, read some of the prequels about the origins of how Fear Street came to be. And then recently, not that long ago, I bought a couple of books called Return to Fear Street. You have The Wrong Girl and Drop Dead Gorgeous. Now, there's three books. I do not have the third book. It's called You May Now Kill the Bride. I think I had seen it and thought I already had it. It was one of those because at that point I had purchased most of the Fear Street books that were available at like Barnes and Noble or Books a Million. So a lot of the stuff I've been getting has been online. When I was in New York last year, I went to Barnes and Noble, found quite a bit of books, and then there was this other book. They have miles of books, and they had a whole Stine section, and I looked through everything. And was at that point we had been book shopping. We had went to the largest Barnes and Noble, and that was just massive. We were there for like 3 or 4 hours, and our arms were getting tired from carrying books. So we went in to this bookstore. Weren't there very long. I went up to this and got some Stein books. Anyways, we'll start with Drop Dead Gorgeous because I read that one first. And I usually read books pretty slow because I read typically at work and then I end up talking to people and not reading. I finished this book September 5th and I finished The Wrong Girl today, September 9th. So very quick turnaround. Okay, so Return to Fear Street, Drop Dead Gorgeous. Look at that cover. That absolutely made me want to pick it up. And there is this girl. The synopsis is Morgan Marks is the new girl and nobody can stop talking about her. She's popular, smart, and beautiful. Everyone wants to be her friend. But her past is veiled in mystery and no one knows exactly where she came from. Now, the annual Linden High Alumni Festival is just around the corner, and Morgan's dark secrets are about to be dug up for all the world to see. So, your basic story here, new girl comes into school, beautiful, everyone likes her. Um, she's flirting with the guys. There's a group of friends that go to the comedy club because their friend Zane is performing a stand-up routine. It's first time up there, and they're rooting him on. And Morgan's sitting by herself, and they ask her to join them. And they start talking, and she starts flirting with the guys. A bunch of crazy stuff starts happening. People start dying, and there's this guy that claims to be a vampire hunter, and no one believes him. There's a lot of twists and turns, a lot of kills, um, and everyone is just like, there's no way it can be, Morgan. There's just no way. She's too beautiful. She's too sweet. She's a jokester. There's no way it's her. And then when the first friend dies, you're like, oh, wow, this just became real. And what I loved about this story, the pacing's good, but once the killings start, it just runs. And I love that about this book. It's very, very fast paced. And what I like about these books too, I'll give you an example. It will have a chapter where so and so narrates, okay, and then it'll say they continue, and then you'll go told by the next character. So you're jumping around from character to character. So sometimes it's like your TV episodes, right? Like whenever you're showing a character's point of view, they're about to enter a dire situation right before that event starts. It cuts off, it goes to the next character. And then you're like, wait a minute, what's going to happen with them? And then you're eager to see what happens, and this next character goes on, and then eventually it's going to come back around. That's what this book does. It does a great job in telling the story it wants to tell, but then also going from character to character. So I finished this book. I just couldn't put it down. It was one of those books that usually when I come home from work, I make dinner, eat, shower, watch a little YouTube maybe as I eat dinner, and then I get my brush my teeth and all that, and I get myself to bed. Well, with this one, instead of watching like YouTube or a show late at night after work, or even on my day off, I was staying up, light my candle, and I would read for like an hour. And I found myself reading at least a half hour to an hour at a time. It wasn't one of those, oh, I'm just going to read one chapter. Chapters are short for the most part. Some here are like 10 pages, but a lot of these are like 4, 5 pages. There's even a couple of chapters where it's just 2 pages, maybe. So that's what I like about Stine's writing. Is his books typically aren't super long, but there's just enough there that by the time you reach the end of the book, you're like, wow, that was amazing. And it never overstays its welcome. That's why he's my favorite author, is because he writes these stories. He even said to make it feel like you're the character. It's coming from your perspective. So sometimes he's vague, just so you can imagine it's you. So I like that about his pacing. He's a plot-based storyteller, and I like that a lot. And the characters don't always stick with you, but the story does. So that's the thing I've learned about Stine books. Some stories the characters stick with you, but a lot of the stories I've read of his, your plot stays with you rather than your character, and that's okay. Sometimes you don't want an 800-page novel for a mystery story like this. So yeah, I absolutely love this book. I'm sad I didn't discover Fear Street earlier, but now I'm happy because I'm so eager to read more that when I have chance to get a new Fear Street or Stine book, I do. And eventually I will go through my Stine collection. It's still relatively small whenever you look at his entire collection of works. But I do find some of his stuff and pick it up. And I will do a Stine video someday for you guys and show you what I have so far. I have a little variety, right? Goosebumps, Fear Street, and then I have some books that don't fall into either, where they're just sort of their own series or their own standalone stories or graphic novel or whatever it is. So I have started getting more Stine stuff. Um, this book ended really well, and there were some plot twists I did not see coming. I absolutely love the ending of this story because I was like, oh, okay, did not see that coming. That's awesome. And it's just, yeah, it's such an amazing book. Then I was like, wait a minute, I think I have another one of these. Return to Fear Street, The Wrong Girl. Poppy Miller swears she will get payback for Jack Saber's cruel prank that humiliated her in front of all of her friends. Then her classmates start turning up dead. All eyes are on Poppy. Is Poppy being framed, or did the kids of Shadyside High mess with the wrong girl? In this all new Fear Street story, only one thing's for sure: someone is out for deadly revenge. So that is your synopsis right there. So that sells me whenever I read something like that. Poppy is, she does have a temper. She does get angry. She does hold grudges. But what I liked about this one a lot, this was, as I'm looking at different, there's also different perspectives in this story. Let me double check. Yeah, okay. So it jumps around and you learn a lot more about the characters. This is more interesting because you have a smaller cast as a group of friends. Both of these are a group of friends. You may have other students involved, but they're a group of friends stories. So what I liked about this one the most, I like this more than Drop Dead Gorgeous because of a few things. One, Poppy, you get the sense from her that, yeah, she gets angry easily, but she's still a good person. Uh, which the other book, you can tell some of the characters just aren't good people. With Poppy, they have a great a great open, and then it goes part one, 6 weeks before such and such event. And I love that because it gives you just a taste of where it's going to go. So that draws you in. You read part one and you go, okay, this is 6 weeks earlier. We're building up to this big event. And then the event happens and you're like, oh my God. And then you have some twists come in. You're like, holy shit. So I love that about this book a lot. So the synopsis tells you that people start dying. What I liked about this was the pacing is perfect. It starts out with a group of friends that are bored, right? They decide, they meet this new kid named Jack, and he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna pull this. I just met you, and this is crazy, but I'm gonna prank this guy. Will you help me, maybe?" And they decide to start a prank group, and it starts out innocent enough, but then it gets worse, and then something tragic happens, and then everything blows up in this group of friends' faces. The friendships are all, some of them are put on the ropes. The friendships end, and then more events occur, and it's hard to figure out who's doing it because you have different suspects, and there are definitely Poppy has so much motivation. She has so many motives. She has absolutely every right to want revenge on these people, but not as far as what happens in this story. And as you're reading the book, you're like, okay, it's got to be this person. It's got to be this person. And the person who I thought it was, I really thought I was right. And then there's a twist. You're like, okay, it isn't this person. But they had every motive and everything points to them. So Stine does a good job of red herrings in this and just like who's doing this and why. There's multiple characters that have perfect motivation. And you feel bad for Poppy because she's sort of just wrong place, wrong time, or oh, such and such character doesn't like her, so they're going to do this to her. So the prank group just isn't in good taste, and it goes south fairly quickly. What I like about this is this is one of those, yeah, if you've seen the movie Disturbia, you know what I'm talking about, where the whole time you're thinking something bad's going to happen, but when's it going to happen? And then boom, when that second hour hits, all shit hits the fan. That kind of reminds me of this with this story. It is not that the plot's the same, obviously not. It's not about watching a neighbor and being under house arrest, but similar idea being executed where you have an event that eventually shit's gonna hit the fan, but when you don't know when, and when it does, wow. And what I like about this story is they don't start killing people off at the beginning of the story, right? They build up to it. It's like paced out really well. They have different parts of the story. You have part one, I believe there's 4 parts in this story, and when all the killings start, you're like, holy crap, okay, yeah, part four. There's 4 parts to this, and that's towards the end of the story. So you don't really have um like a big murder taking place in the first 10 pages or anything. They build up to it. I guess what I'm getting at is I like that you get to spend time with these characters. Both of these books are excellent. If I were to tell you which one to read, go with this one over this one. If you only want to get one to start with, this one's still a great read by all means. Nothing bad in this book. Really good. This one, though, if I were to say this is good, when I say good, that means above average, right? So, like, I don't like to do star ratings, but if I were to give you an idea of how I would do it, I would say there's unreadable, whether it is the language that's being used, whether it's old timey language and you just can't pick up on it. I'll be honest, there are books like that where I've opened and go, ooh, that no, this isn't for me. That it's an old timey book or the wording was so complex or just I'm not from that time period, so I wouldn't be able to piece it together. There are those advanced books, and I'm just like, no, or I just don't feel like forcing myself through books like that because I have before, and sometimes I end up being thankful that I stuck with it. Other times, not so much. So I would, or if the content, the story, the plot is bad, or if the characters that there aren't any redeeming qualities or anything that makes me want to see what happens to these characters, then I give it a 1. Let's say that. A 2 would be readable, I can understand it. It's readable, and there may be one or two qualities about a character or some things about the plot that I enjoy, but still nothing you haven't ever seen done before. Three would be, to me, average, right? What I mean by that is that this book does nothing wrong, but it doesn't stand above anything else. It does everything, plays everything safe. It the story's readable. The characters might have some redeeming qualities and they can be interesting and you can care about them a little bit, but you don't get attached to either the story or the character, or it's just missing some elements you would like to see. So it doesn't commit any major sins when it comes to reading, but it's still not great. Four is good. This means it's above average. So when I say this would be like 4 star. It's good. It does good things with the plot. It has good characters that you get attached to. You're going, oh please don't kill this character. Because during the story there's a character in here. I'm like, oh please don't kill this character. Whatever you do, please don't kill this character. And I'm rooting for that character, more than one character in this story. And it has a very, very interesting plot. So I would say this is good. What 5 stars means excellent, right? So this story is right there. Um, I still won't say it's perfect, but for me, it's perfect. So where I'm coming from this is every reader is going to be different. It's like looking at art, right? You're going to have a different perspective based on your experience and what you look for. So this is an excellent book. I read it. I want to say, because didn't I say I finished this on the 5th? Yeah, the 5th. So I went to bed after reading this and I started this book on the 6th and I only read, I think, yeah, 6th. I was off for a day that day. I read a decent amount, read a little bit more the 7th. The 8th, I worked, so I didn't read as much. And then the 9th today, I read like, how much did I read today? Trying to figure out where I started. And then once I backtrack, I'll be able to tell you. I know I read quite more than average today, right? I read at least 100 pages, if not more, which is unusual for me. I typically read, oh, I'll start a book. If I'm off, I'll read the first chapter if it's longer, sometimes two. But with shorter books, even like this, I'll read 10 to 20 pages. But R.L. Stine breaks all of my rules. That's why I say he's my favorite author, because he can make me be like, oh, I'm going to sit down and start a book. Like tonight, initially, I was going to start another movie, but I had just finished watching Wednesday season 2, part 2. So my buddy and I watched all 4 episodes of part 2 of season 2 of Wednesday, and we loved the hell out of it. And that was on a different channel, which is the Trick or Treaters. Check that channel out on YouTube here. Both videos for episodes 5, 6, and then 7 and 8 went live today, or went up today, I should say. So yeah, but R.L. Stine breaks all rules for me. If I see a book that's R.L. Stine, most of the time I go, okay, am I doing anything right now? Yes, don't start the book. I will wait until I have my errands, chores done for the day, because R.L. Stine books, if I'm off, are not one of those books where it's like, oh yeah, let me sit down, read a chapter, and go on. These are books where it's like, let me get a cup of coffee if it's early or with breakfast. Let me eat, read, and all that. Let me eat and everything. Light a candle, sit down and read until I'm ready to stop. So I would literally read Stine until I either need a break, have to go to the bathroom, whatever, or I'll say I'm ready to stop. With him, it's like watching a good Netflix show, right? You start episode one more episode, one more episode. I'm like that with him. One more chapter, one more chapter. And then that chapter I was going to end on, oh, there's a plot twist. It ended on a cliffhanger. Okay, I got to read the next one now. And next thing you know, I'm 100 pages of reading his work. He's one of the few authors I can do that with. Not that other authors are bad. I had a romance book I read recently that I couldn't put down either. So I'm not saying that. Yeah, it's called The Infinite Moment of Us. I couldn't put that one down either. A Court of Thorns and Roses I liked a lot, but it was one of those books where it was just very meaty. and the chapters were longer and stuff, so I would only read a chapter here, a chapter there, not more than two or three at a time. But with his books, I can read a lot longer. I just find his books easy to read, very fun, and you never know where the plot's going to go. So if I could, like, I'm wanting to write at some point, or I may just stay satisfied with having a home library. But if I do to get finally get to be able to take some online creative writing classes, I myself want to write, and if I could be even close to what this man could do, then I'll consider myself a success. I absolutely love R.L. Stine. But the Fear Street I prefer over Goosebumps is what I thought I was going to say initially, because I remember the Goosebumps episode being cheesy, but it was the 90s, right? But then when I read the books are actually darker than some of the episodes because the show and books were for kids, but some of them actually end on like bigger plot twists and everything. So I'm in the process now of getting the Stein books and trying to hunt down the Goosebumps episodes on DVD, which so far I have managed to acquire some of those. So yeah, at some point I will do a Stein collection video when I'm further along, hopefully, and you guys will be like, "Oh my God, look at all this Stein stuff." But yeah, so that's my review of these books. Very good, both worth reading. I recommend getting this one first if you either don't want to spend more money than one book, or if you just say I just want one for now. I would like to get You May Now Kill the Bride so I can read all three of these and see how they work, because so far I'm loving the perspective of jumping from character to character, and it made it unique. And I have more Stein in a box. I have a box I put away of books I've already read of his because I was running out of room. I found an online trick that says put your books on top of your cabinets in your kitchen to save space, and it works. Problem is that method's starting to not work because I'm running out of room for books, which isn't a bad thing. But I'm trying to get through some of these books that I've had for years, or just cut down on the books I have to read. Like my TBR list, I'm trying to knock that down because I'll read 6 or 7 books and then buy 5, 6 more. So then it's like I'm not really getting ahead to where I'm actually getting caught up. So my movies, I have 5 piles of movies that I need to watch, and I will probably do a video sometime soon to show you what films I have yet to watch. But underneath my table, I actually have hundreds of books, at least 200, let's say, that I have not read yet. Some of them I bought 10 plus years ago on sale. So yeah, and so the thing is that I like the idea of, as my friend said, of walking to the shelf and being able to pick up an adventure. But at the same time, I would also like to read all my stuff, and then I can go, okay, what do I truly want to keep? What will I reread? What do I just want to have because it meant something to me, and I just want to have it on display so people can go, oh wow, you've read this, okay, cool. Like I just want to have that. But yeah, that's my idea, is that eventually I will go through what I've read and I will get rid of some of the books I don't want anymore. There's a local store here in town that takes donations, and I'll just say, hey, take these and sell them off, whatever. But yeah, but there's not a lot of books here that I actually would want to give up. That's the problem. There's a lot of them I would want to keep. And I've noticed I have a lot of Stein. I have a lot of young adult. I'm looking at my shelves of the stuff I've read. I have some Stephen King. I have some Mass, which I've just started reading hers. Um, I have some autobiographies, and then I have some romance books like Claudia Tan, Perfect Addiction, Perfect Ruin, love those. Hocus Pocus. I have some Grady Hendrix, Stephanie Meyer, um, Cassandra Clare, Mead, which is Vampire Academy. I have Ransom Briggs, Peculiar Children series, Hunger Games. I mean, I just have a variety of young adult and fantasy, and that's just where I love to be at. Horror. I love some horror books. So yeah, I will be doing more of these book reviews. Let me know if you've read these. Leave a comment about it. What did you think of it? Also, what memories do you have of Fear Street? Have you watched the Netflix trilogy and then the fourth one? Or did you read Goosebumps back in the day and watch the show? I'm curious to hear from you guys. So leave a comment. Let me know what you think. That's all I have for today. Bye, guys.